LaFontaine, he gets tripped up, gets it to May, and over the line. He's May going in on goal. He scores!
Welcome to the Overtime with Mayday podcast.
Let's drop the puck on talk with our next guest. Born in West Guildford, Ontario, played Junior B with the Navy Vets in Woodstock, Ontario. During a sole season with the Vets, set a franchise record with 41 goals, 79 points in 40 games. In 1978, Nicholls was drafted by the Kingston Canadians in the Ontario Major Junior Hockey League. As a rookie with the Canadians, led the all rookies in scoring with 36 goals, 79 points. In 1980, drafted fourth round by the Los Angeles Kings in the NHL amateur draft. 81-82, played in the American Hockey League with New Haven Nighthawks, led the league in scoring in 41 goals, 55 games. A legend. Called up to the NHL February 18th, 1982. Finished the regular season with 14 goals, 18 assists through 22 games. Helped the Kings qualify for the 1982 Stanley Cup playoffs. Became the fourth player in LA Kings franchise history to score 40 goals in a single season. In 1988-89, he scored a team record 70 goals, added 80 assists with 150 points. Played with the Kings, the Rangers, the Oilers, the Devils, the Blackhawks, the Sharks. Retired from the game in 1999. He had a total of 1,127 games, 475 goals, 734 apples, total of 1,209 points and 1,292 PIMs. Welcome to the podcast, Bernie Nicholls.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure.
So happy to have you on, Bernie. Unreal. Like your stats, first of all, I'm talking about your stats. This isn't about Bernie Nicholls, the person, yet. Your stats are so solid and so impressive, Hall of Fame worthy. And I know I don't want to go down that path. Is it a craw on your side that maybe it's time has moved on and you haven't got that nod? And my next part of that question is, do you think playing on the West Coast through that stretch, because the media in the National Hockey League, a lot of it happens on the East Coast, do you think you were overlooked like a lot of West Coast players through the 80s and 90s?
Oh, I definitely think so. Time has gone by, and if it ever was to happen, for me, I wish it would have happened with my mom and dad around, but it is kind of a burn your ass, right? Like, and to me, it is the West Coast thing. And I tell people this every day, and I don't mean it negatively towards the person, because in my mind, 1,000% he should be in. There's a couple. I use Daryl Sittler. Daryl Sittler and I tell people, if Daryl Sittler played in LA, would he be a Hall of Famer? And everybody says, well, of course he would. Of course he would. I said, well, no, he wouldn't, because I have the exact same stats as Daryl Sittler to a T, except mine are better. Daryl had 10 points one game. I had 8. Other than that, everywhere across the board, mine are better. So if he played in LA, would he be in the Hall of Fame? Overson and the Sedin twins. Albertson played in Ottawa. He played 1,200 games, had 1,100 points. I played 1,100 games, had 1,200 points. Everything about my career was better than Albertson, not even close. But then, people say, well, he played in the Olympics or World Championships or something. And I go, well, he didn't have Brian Trottier, Mario Lemieux, Wayne Gretzky, Dale Howardchuk, Doug Gilmour, like all these centermen, right? Like, I'm a centerman. I'm not going to take Mario's place. I'm not going to take Wayne's place. I'm not taking Trottier's place. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to make that team. Mark Messier, like, there's probably 6 Hall of Famers in my era that are going to go ahead of me. So when I tell them that, that's the argument we get into. It's frustrating, you don't win a cup. Well, not every team can win a cup. Not every player can win a cup. There's guys, that have won 6, 7, 8 cups, like if I was to play in Montreal when they were winning 6 or 8 Stanley Cups, like, I don't know. It's frustrating because, like you said, the numbers are there, but you're not there. So
it's
Yeah.
like the needle moves, and it's got to be a consistent process, right? Is it points? Is it stats? Is it what? Does it have to be a cup? No, it doesn't. There's quality hockey players that have not won a cup.
Right.
I totally agree. And there's got to be a component, almost like the fans can vote sometimes, where there's some sort of consistency. And that's, whether it's regional team, you build that process to recognize that people would see people out west, or back then, you're right, nobody was watching hockey at like 11 o'clock at night on the East Coast to watch a game, right? It's tough.
Yeah, like we were the only team, right? Well, in Vancouver too, but
Yeah.
LA, like, God bless my mom, like 10:30 we came on because it was 7:30 in LA, right? She's the only one's up at 11, 12 o'clock watching the LA Kings play hockey, and all the people voting and stuff, they're all Toronto media or whatever. I remember, I think it was the Olympics in 2000 or something, when they talked about Jamie Benn and I think maybe Jeff Carter, whoever's out in the West Coast, and they go, "Why are they on the team?" I said, "Are you kidding me? They've never seen them play, right? Because Jamie was in Dallas, but still, or Jeff Carter was out in LA, and they don't see these guys play, and obviously great players, but when you don't get to see a person play a lot because of where they're playing, you don't know much about them, I guess."
It's not top of mind, right? It's not top of
Right.
mind. It's totally get it.
And
Yeah.
the crazy part is, of course, right now I live in Toronto, in Ontario, of course, and over the last 25 years, so I have all hockey fans, or certainly younger hockey fans. We've had the luxury of cable TV, Rogers Sportsnet, TSN, and the Canadian, coverage of the National Hockey League. Yes, we have coverage now of the whole league, right? You get highlights, now it's uploaded to your cell phone and your computer, and all the highlights and the game notes that you can actually see on a nightly or daily basis. Back in the day, early 80s, there's no television station that's broadcasting LA Kings games. The games that you were probably on TV, you're playing against either Philadelphia Flyers, New York Islanders, right, on the
Yep.
East, or you're playing in Canada, of course, against possibly the Gretzky era, Mark Messier, Yari Curry, Vancouver Canucks. So you actually got the Canadian coverage of those games, but nobody watched the LA Kings. One of the greatest players, and you played with, certainly stats wise, Marcel Dion, and his numbers are incredible, through that time as well. There's a lot of hockey fans, of course, they know the name Marcel Dion, but we don't really have images to watch Marcel Dion play other than the stat sheets.
Yeah, that's right. 700 goals, over 700 goals, but no one really knows much about him, right?
Yeah.
Because he played. And I tell people, if I scored 70 goals in Toronto, they'd induct me in the Hall of Fame the next day, right? If you played in Toronto and did, that's just the way it is.
Just before we keep going, can you just move your camera just over to get you more into the middle of the screen? Just because that beautiful face, we got to see it. There we go.
Is that it? Better there?
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay.
Hey, I bring that up, Bernie. I don't bring it up to actually have you go back down memory lane and get upset or have that apprehension. I bring it up because there is a big thing. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to compare eras. So everybody today is focused on Crosby and McDavid and McKinnon and the wonderful players that they are. But comparing eras is very difficult. You were one of the best players in the National Hockey League. Your stats support that while you played in the 80s and then, of course, throughout the 90s. I'm here to lobby, not necessarily on your behalf, but to just get it out there. Like, if people don't know who Bernie Nicholls is, go into the archives of the National Hockey League and look at the numbers. And Rocco, in your introduction of Bernie, Rookie of the Year, leading the league in scoring in the American Hockey Leagues with New Haven. All these things, these are all feathers in your cap. And unfortunately, the fair weather hockey fan, or the guy who used to buy the Hockey News, if he doesn't read the stat lines, he has no idea about really the inner workings of the National Hockey League at that.
That's true.
So I'm here. I'm an advocate for Bernie Nicholls.
Same.
I
I mean,
love the person.
to watch Bernie play. I mean, I was watching a bunch of YouTube stuff last couple of days, and just because I thought we were gonna get you on when Maisie mentioned it, I love Bernie Nicholls. I mean, you just had the star quality about you. You had the look. You had everything. Coming from a short, schleppy Italian guy who does not look anything like you. I mean, it's like you were a legend, and it's crazy that as the new era of hockey is, we're YouTubing and they watch the plays. I mean, I watch the highlights every night on my iPad, and the only reason I have an iPad in my room is because it does not fall under the category of a television, which my wife, prior to getting married, said there'll be no TV in our room. The bedroom is meant for two things. One is sleeping, right? And the iPad was able to get underneath that. So I'm sitting there reading, watching my stuff. But I watch every highlight every night, right? And so that regurgitates what such and such did in San Jose versus Bernie Nicholls did with LA back in the day, right?
Right.
Hey, Bernie, there's a player today. We're going to start here maybe, and then we're going to go and ask you questions about your career. There's a great young player in the game today, Macklin Celebrini. Obviously, he's the face of the San Jose Sharks. He's doing something that's uncanny, something that Sidney Crosby, Dale Hawerchuk, Joe Nieuwendyk as rookies and young players in the NHL were able to accomplish, Wayne Gretzky being one as well. Macklin Celebrini playing in San Jose, part of the San Jose Sharks on the early part of their franchise. What's it like playing in California and San Jose then? What's the difference today for these younger players? And there's no question, hockey is a hotbed there because of players like yourself that represented the Sharks logo.
Yeah, I really loved playing in San Jose. I loved living there. Northern California is beautiful. Really well supported. The fan base there is great. Playing in the old Shark Tank there, it gets loud. Playoff times get loud. I was there when Patrick Marleau came. I was there. I played against them when they're in San Francisco, but when they moved there, and then they just started building, right? Started getting better and better, and the talent started coming. Patrick Marleau went there, Big Joe Thornton, and then they started doing well, right? And they obviously drafted well. And to get this kid, I've been fortunate to watch him a little bit, and I root for him. I root for greatness. I really do. I love seeing people do great things, and I cheer for that. And to watch this kid at such a young age, right? Like he's put San Jose up there. Everybody wants to watch them now, and you talk about them because of him, right? And so happy he's going to the Olympics. Whether he plays with Sid, I'm thinking he's going to play with Sid because they played together the World Championships. But he's doing the city proud. I know they love him there, and he's just a lot of fun to watch and so easy to cheer for.
Totally agree. Yeah. Listen, you were one of 8 players to score 70 goals. Just going back to your stats, I mean, it blows me away. 1 of 5 to score 150 points. So if you look back and, we're reflecting on the Hockey Hall of Fame, lack of, hey, why are you not in there? If you, look back at the impact that you made to the game, what would you say, your eulogy would be what? Like related to your greatness in hockey?
I get criticized, or I did early. Like, I just loved to play. I did. Like, it was so much fun. I don't think there was anybody that was more competitive, that wanted to win more than I did. I think the problem is I'm out there, I'm having fun. I'm talking, you see Grant Fuhr, the goalies. I'll give him a tap, good save. I'm talking to him, I'm talking to guys, and I'm laughing, and people say, look at him, he's not serious out there. He's having too much fun. And, but the minute that I get a chance, I'm knocking your head off. Like if you come across the blue line, I'm knocking you, knocking you out. I'm being like Brad. But I just, I love the game. I thought I was competitive. Great vision for the game. I think, I think that's a gift that a lot of people, even to this day, they don't have it. They may have skill, but they don't see what other people see. To see the ice, to see your players, know where everybody's going to be. I thought I was good at that. I always thought I was a great teammate, cared about my team. It was always team first, did whatever it took to win. I played hurt. I don't think there was many games, that I didn't play because of an injury. Like I played with a broken jaw. I played with broken feet, freeze them and play. There was nothing that was going to stop me from playing. And like I did anything I could, to win. And, but I had fun doing it.
Well,
Now,
that's what
okay,
makes
so
you that guy, right? That's what makes you those, it puts that elite person, like we've talked about in this pod and others, what pulls people to that level of greatness. And that's what we're talking. When you look at your numbers, that's greatness, man. It's, we talk about in other pods, I played in the NHL for one game, or I had one goal. That is one goal in the NHL. And then you look at the numbers that you had, brother. I mean, I get goosebumps just repeating these stats, right? It's like, wow, crazy.
yeah, no, it's you're being measured against your peers, and you were one of the best, offensive. But
Agreed.
I can tell you this: my first year in the National Hockey League was in 1991. And I played. You had Larry Robinson in LA. And so Larry's playing with no bucket, right? There's Craig McTavish. There's 7 or 8 guys. Rod Langway. I want to see Brad Marsh. There was about 7 or 8 guys that had no helmet, that was grandfathered in, that they didn't have to wear one. Coming in, I played against the LA Kings. I remember distinctly, and this is not made up for this story. If somebody asked me, and has asked me over the last 20 years, who is the most solid on their feet, or who is the hardest guy to knock down or knock off their feet? Who was the guy that gave you the biggest hit? These conversations, they always go there at different events. And I remember distinctly, I went to try to hit you in the neutral zone in Buffalo. And I think it was between the benches, but it was near the red line. And I thought I had Bernie Nicholls in my sights. I thought I was going to knock this guy down. He's not smaller, but we're relatively the same height. But I'm a little bit thicker maybe at that time. And I went to hit you. And I swear to God, my jaw almost broke. Literally, I felt it shift. When I hit you, you didn't move. You're one of the most solid guys on their feet. Now, I say that as a massive compliment to you. You're one of the guys that I actually was injured while trying to hit, because you were that solid. There was one other player that I would compare to you stature-wise, and I saw him blow up players. Michael Pekka, who I played with in Buffalo. Mike Pekka wasn't the biggest guy, but boy, when he threw hits, like when I hear you saying, when you had somebody in the tracks and you tried to blow them up, that's what we did. We were actually, judged by our commitment to try to do that against Now, we didn't want to injure players, but we wanted to hurt them, no question. We wanted to let them know that we were in the game. You're one of the most solid guys on their skates that I ever played against. You've heard that, I'm sure, from others.
Well, thank you for that. And I have, and that's one thing that people didn't know about me. There's a couple things that I find out later, but I loved hitting guys. I would line guys up, and I loved hitting guys and hitting them hard, like those big, Don Cherry Rocco and Sock'em hits. I've got some, and people didn't think that, right? Or blocking shots. I killed penalties. I slid and blocked shots. And people would think, no, you wouldn't do that. Like they think a goal scorer, right, is not going to be physical and is not going to get in the way of the puck. And I did that. And I'm not saying that, other than just to say that I love doing that. I love blocking shots, but I really loved hitting guys. And bigger the better, right? Because if you can catch them with their head down, I play a charity with Darian Hatcher, and this kid's massive, right? But his brother, Kevin, is every bit as big. And I hit him one night. He's coming around the net, carrying the puck in Washington, and I laid him out. And the big guys don't like it when they get hit by small guys either. Like they're pissed, right? But they probably don't expect it either. Right. And I've said this different times, like with Ovechkin. You know how Ovechkin comes down and then comes across and shoots it? I would lay him out, even though, He probably weighs 140 pounds, but that's when you hit guys, right? A lot of times guys don't know how to tee guys up. Not that I was like, Scotty Stevens, but there's an art to it. And I could get them. I love when they come down and then they come in front of the defenseman and cut across, and I'd be waiting for them. And that's a lot of fun too when you lay guys out
You know
clean.
what? The game of hockey. So that they're talking about the blindside hit now, right? That
Yeah.
was the Mark Servard when he got knocked out. I believe Matt Cook hit him, right? But the guys, Rafi Torres got suspended for many games, and the whole blindside back checking winger or forward that would actually catch that guy that cuts across the blue line into the middle of the ice.
Yeah.
Back in our day, Bernie, that was an art. And that was a beautiful thing. Today, it's outlawed, so we don't see that today. And maybe that's a good thing for the health of the players. But when we the bottom line is, the responsibility was on the puck carrier then, not the hitter. Today, it's been flip flopped for the safety of the game. That the responsibility resides with the hitter and the player that's cutting into the middle of the ice with his head down. Even if he gets hit, the player that hits him gets in trouble. I like that rule, because if we allow it, and of course we see it, but if you allow that player, it gives him just an extra step. He's now into the middle of the ice. He can now make plays. He's more dangerous. I like the game when the responsibility was on the puck carrier. I really do. Now, I don't know if you can keep players safe that way, and with the money that's being spent in the game, maybe it's the right decision. But I'm still a dinosaur from where I learned my teachings. If you cut in the middle with your head down, your coach would give you shit, right? You get in trouble for getting hit. Nobody else would care about the guy that hit you. It was your fault.
Yeah. Eric Lindros found that out the hard way. Like, a big kid always played with his head down. Well, in the league he got hit in with Scotty, you got to learn to keep that head up. Clean hit. He'd probably get suspended today, but he shouldn't.
And to that, he actually, because he was so much bigger than everybody else playing, he could play that way and get away with it until there's a consequence, right? And that this consequence is a Scotty Stevens or anybody else that's a monster, Zdeno Chara, that could could knock you into another month. Right.
Yeah.
So consequence.
I think sometimes, so I was in Buffalo playing against Philadelphia. We had some wild games that turned into bench brawls and through the 90s. And there was a stretch of hockey where Eric Lindros was the most dominant player in the world.
Yeah.
I think in some ways it's a beautiful thing. Clearly he's a Hall of Famer and an incredible hockey player, and stuff he's been able to do, excuse me. In some ways it was a curse because he was so big. Like, he had to run around and run over guys like Scott Stevens and Zdeno Chara. He was expected to throw the biggest hit of the night. He was expected to get 3 or 4 points. He was expected to be the first star or the leader of his team. A lot of responsibilities when you have that full package. In some ways, I think it set him up, unfortunately, that he was put himself in harm's way. But everybody but now also, if we weren't so physical and so prepared to actually encounter that, like you're so heightened that you had to be at your best to play against a player like that, that he got hit probably harder because everybody was actually more focused and ready for it, as opposed to just playing hockey against the opposition.
He was an absolute beast, and I remember we were in Philly in the afternoon game. Paul Stewart. I don't know if you remember Paul Stewart.
I love Stewie.
Love Stewie. We're in the Spectrum in Philly. I think I'm with New Jersey. So big rivalry, right? And so I'm facing off with Eric. And Stewie goes, Bernie, how you doing? Good, Stewie. Big E, how you doing? Fuck off and drop the puck. So he drops the puck. Eric cross-checks me, like right out of the circle. Just drops me, right? Stewie gives him a penalty, throws him out. Like, oh man, it was so good. But he was so big and so strong, and so good. Oh boy, he was good.
Yeah, well, you're in New Jersey playing. Of course, I was in Buffalo, but you're in the same division at that time. The Legion of Doom, Michael Renberg and John there. Like, these guys, to a man, what would they be? 800 pounds, 850 pounds between the three of them?
Yeah, have to be 240, 230, 220 at least.
700
like
pounds. 700 pounds, yeah. Crazy, Rocco. Crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Well,
It's nuts.
Hey Bernie,
You know?
what's of all your stops that you played in, and I know you started in Los Angeles and then you got to play in the big lights with the Rangers, the organization with the Devils. What was your favorite, or do you have a favorite? Is it easy to say? Do you have one that stands out that defines Bernie Nicholls?
yeah, probably. You know what? LA was every place you play, right? It's awesome. People are awesome. Playing in LA was unbelievable. Gretz came. Now it's really unbelievable. You go play Madison Square Gardens, pretty cool. Original Six. Chicago. Chicago may have been my favorite, just because of, like I mentioned, Chris Chelios, right? Like I got to play with Chris. I've said it different times. If I could play with one guy my whole career, obviously Gretz was pretty good, would be Chris Chelios. And
Nope,
and for
kidding.
the reasons that never worked out playing. And he taught me how to do that. And he was such a leader on and off the ice. I got 9 stitches in my ear one time in practice from Chris, trying to go around him. Like he practice like he played the game. Like that's why he was so good. But I tell everybody, if you're a Canadian boy, you got to play in Canada. And I got Edmonton. And it was unbelievable. We went to the semifinals that year. Chicago beat us. But a Canadian boy playing in Canada is special. And
That was in 1996.
Red
96,
Toronto.
right?
No. It was 93, the year Pittsburgh beat Chicago in the finals.
Okay.
Maybe 92.
Okay. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. That's when
Yeah.
Dominic Hasek came in the finals against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Right? 92. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Stand to
Yeah.
be corrected on that.
So going back, Bernie, when you were in LA, so how much time did you spend with like with Jerry Buss, Dr. Jerry Buss? Did you, were you, the famous lounge and any cool stories on the LA scene pre-Gretzky and then after Gretzky? What stars did you have prior to and then after? Give us a little rundown on that.
Hey, just for clarity too, we just had a wonderful interview with Charlie Simmer.
Oh,
who's
nice.
been on our pod. Whether this is aired before or after, Charlie Simmer. So.
Yeah, Jerry Buss was awesome. The cool thing with Jerry was he knew I liked horses, and I had I lived with the jockey my first year or something. I had Sandy Hawley was there, Chris McCarron, so I'd go to the racetrack like every day, and Jerry knew that, and he loved to gamble. He would call me and ask me for tips. And here's your owner calling you, so I'm trying to help him out, but.
Yeah, you don't want to piss him off. You lose a bunch of his money, man. I don't know. You could be playing in Siberia.
Oh, but he was really good. He was good to me. Funny story. One time, Pat Quinn's our coach, and I love Pat. So in the forum, we had the press lounge where the coaches and their wives, maybe the owner, whatever managers would go there after game. We'd go to the forum club. Pat goes into the press lounge after game, and Jerry Buss is laying down on the couch making out with a girl. And you're going, oh my God, there's your owner, right? My first training camp, he shows up with, it had to be like a 15-year-old or something. She looked 15, but that was our owner. He lived up to his reputation. He was good. He was nice.
Yeah. So what was it like after Gretzky with some of the hype? Obviously, he really helped boost, obviously, hockey in California. So what was it like after Gretz got there?
Yeah, we went from having 10,000 season seat holders a year to sold out every night. We're in a city where the Dodgers are number one. Showtime Lakers are right there. Sports like college.
Football, yeah.
It's huge, right? We were the place to be. So we went from 2 or 3 reporters a night to like the game after the Toronto Maple Leafs are playing the playoffs. Like everybody's there. We got Stallone's there. Tom Hanks went to a lot of games. Kirk Russell, Goldie Hawn. Like now all the actors want to come, and we got them all, and it's great. From starting out, when you don't have many people there. Being a Canadian where hockey's number one, you're in a place where hockey's below fishing in California. And so Gretz came and he made it into Hockey Town, and we were the place that everybody wanted to come. So that was fun.
Is there anything? So my first question was, or was going to be about Hugh Hefner, the Playboy Mansion, and all of that craziness that could come from that. But I'd love to hear that if your team, because one of your teammates, Charlie Simmer, he was married to, I think,
Terry Wells.
Terry Wells, yeah.
Terry Wells, and that's obviously as a young boy, that was just really cool at that time or whatever. But playing in Los Angeles, playing with Wayne Gretzky, is there anything that you didn't, or you found out about Wayne, how wonderful of a guy or teammate he is, that he did, that nobody else would know, or the story hasn't been told? Because he's the greatest.
He is. He's the best. You know what? And I tell people this, right? And I don't know why. I really don't. Well, I kind of think I do. Gretz came to LA. I was his guy. Everywhere Gretz went, Bern, let's go. It was him and I, nobody else. And I asked a couple of guys from the Oilers, was Gretz that way with you guys? And they went, no. And I'm thinking that Gretz was smart enough to know that this is the biggest trade in hockey, right? And he knew, and I don't know this. He's coming to LA. He can't do it himself. He needs help, right? And I was his guy. He knew that he needed help, and I was the one that could give it to him. And everywhere we went together. We went on the road. We hung out every night, and it was amazing. I had him for a year and a half. I say to people, I don't know what would happen, or I don't know what it'd be like to play with Gretz for 5-10 years. I know what it would do for me because I had him for a year and a half, and you know what I did. So he was special. He was so much fun to hang with. Nicest guy in the world.
So we talked to young. We talked to young.
Sorry, Daisy.
Sorry, Rock. I'm just so excited about
same.
This Wayne Gretzky we're talking about.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about talent and speed, and we got McDavid and McKinnon, and throughout the last 2.5 decades, there's been so many incredible hockey players and talent. If you ask a young hockey player about Wayne Gretzky, they'd see a small, undersized guy, not very athletic, not fast, didn't have a great shot, and some of these hockey fans that wouldn't even think of Wayne Gretzky being the best player to ever play, and right. being enamored with that. That's just kind of the way that the sports are today. How hard of a worker and the way he competed, and talk about speed, because he never lost the foot race to the puck. So it's overlooked big time. You know what?
Gretz was quicker than fast. Like, he was quick, right? But skating down the ice, he wouldn't be the fastest guy. But and he wasn't the strongest. Like, he weighed up like 150 pounds, 155 pounds. Like, it was unbelievable. And his shot, you could catch a shot with bare hand. You know what I mean? Like, that was Gretz. He didn't do anything better than, or like harder or this or that, but he was just better. He's seen the ice so well. He knew where everybody was. His endurance, he could play all night. He's seen it. He passed so well, but he was just so much ahead of everybody, seeing the ice, knowing what to do with the puck, knowing where everybody was going to be. I tell people, expect the unexpected with Wayne. I'd be in front of the net and two guys are on me, holding on, and the puck's on your stick. And you're going, how the hell did that happen? He'll find you. And I always thought I was a better passer than a goal scorer. I love to pass. The coach at the time, Robin Fatorik, told me, you got to shoot more, you got to shoot more, you got to shoot more, which was fine. I think I set a record that year. I don't know how many, I had over 400 shots on goal or something, or that year, right? But when you're going with Gretz, you're going to get the puck, and he doesn't want it back. So, when you get it, put it in the net.
Wow. It's just impressive to me that, just time and distance, and then you didn't have the luxury of nightly highlights and these reels and for everyone to see, but he has more assists than the next guy has points. If that still lives, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been talking hockey. We just talking Wayne Gretzky and Walter Gretzky. Right behind you, over your right shoulder, there's a few things. A taxidermist it mounted something on your wall, Bernie.
Oh,
Can you
that
talk?
one?
Okay, and then we saw. I know over at your left shoulder, there's a big buck on your wall. Bernie's an avid hunter, bow hunter. He goes into the ruck, into the forest, days at a time. Bernie, where did that love come from in West Guildford, Ontario? Dad, your brother, talk about your hunting experience. And honestly, when you started, were you as good as you are now, or have you honed your skills and your tracking and your calls?
I think better now. Grew up, my dad was an avid hunter. He trapped. So I grew up with that. I remember walking through the bush when I'm 5 years old, following my dad. He hunted, fished his whole life. And one of the greatest things I got from him was that the outdoors to me, the hunting part, like the camaraderie you have. People, there's a lot of people think of hunting as just killing, right? But it's not. Like some of the best hunting trips I've ever been on, you don't get anything. And that's just part of the deal, right? But I always took my dad when I went on hunting trips and, sitting out in a deer stand or something. It's so peaceful in the morning when the earth is just waking up, it's pretty good. But I bow hunt. I used to gun hunt, but then I took up bow hunting, and it's a different animal. It's a little more close and personal, right? Like I got some moose antlers here, shooting a moose with the bow, 1,000-pound animal, 7 yards, 8 yards, 10 yards, 12 yards. I think I've shot 11 or 12 moose with a bow, and the farthest one away from me was 18 yards. That's 1,000-pound animal coming in.
And they're vicious when they're close.
Yeah, they're they like to fight, and they're just intimidating. That's my favorite moose hunting, when they're rutting and you call them in. My brother's really good at calling. I'm all right. But you call them in and you set up for them. It's having one of these things come in grunting and raking his antlers. It gets you a little excited.
Okay, so you told me a story when we were down in Florida about one of your best and most memorable, but I was asking, what's the scariest encounter that you had with an animal?
I was chased by a moose once. I just love animals, and I'm doing a charity hockey game in Jackson Hole, and every year we'd go there. I'd always drive around, look for moose, look for buffalo, any wild animals up there. And the one day we go, and there's a guy drove me, and there's a moose just laid down alongside the riverbank. So I sneak down. I'd probably get about 30 yards from it, taking a picture, and it gets up, and it kind of looked at me, and it charged me. Wow. And I get nowhere to go because I'm down around, it's open, riverbank. And he came, and honestly, I braced myself like he was going to hit me. I thought he was going to Scotty Stevens me, run me over, right? And he actually spun right in front of me, and like snow came up on my legs, and he ran over and stopped. And the guy up top, he's yelling, let's go. So I started to move. Well, he turned and came again. And same thing. I thought he was going to run me over, and he spun out again, and then he just crossed the river and walked away. I think it was a female, just because it was in October. It was in end of March, and I think she just laid down. She'd be pregnant because she'd have no reason to be irritated with me. Like, I'm ways away. I'm no threat to her. So I just think she was maybe irritated. But I don't know why she came running at me. But I honestly thought, and they kill more people than anything, mainly because you hit them with a car and they come on you, but they'll put the boots to you.
They're solid, man.
Wow.
They're absolutely solid.
I thought I was getting run over.
Rocco grew up in Yellowknife, in the Northwest
Yeah.
Territories. You ever have an encounter like that, Rocco?
Yes, actually, a lot with buffalo. We have a lot of
Oh,
buffalo, and even further up north bison.
yeah.
But we had a couple of bear encounters with black bear. And when we were doing some of the diamond mine projects, we'd have grizzlies and
Oh,
massive amounts of porcupine caribou. Like the earth, like in fact, you'd be looking out on the tundra, and the entire you couldn't see snow because of the massive amount of caribou herds moving through. And then
wow.
with that, you'd get big wolves following in,
Yeah.
looking for the sick and
Yeah.
the ill and the dying. Then you get the wolverines. I mean, it was crazy. It's survival of the fittest out there. There's nothing to eat, and these things are out there. And even
Oh,
the jackrabbits are like 3 feet long. They're like I
yeah.
was like, what the hell are you eating? What's going
Oh,
on out here?
I'd love that. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We were earlier talking about Gretz and stuff like that. Is it true? And I heard a story that you and Gretz would eat McDonald's before games. Is that true?
Well, part of it's true. Like I said, I hung with Wayne every day. And he'd say, Bern, let's go to lunch. All right. We had a McDonald's 200 yards from our practice rink. And Gretz loved McDonald's. So we'd go, I'm going, right? So we'd eat McDonald's all the time.
That is awesome. That is
So I don't
awesome.
really like McDonald's anymore.
It's funny. We were chatting about how Wayne has done so many things for the game, as you have, but with Gretzky, I knew his father very well. In fact, I would
Yeah.
bring his dad up through his sister at the CNIB and bring him up to speak at major projects all over Alberta and such, and he was a beloved figure. This is after Gretzky's run in the NHL, and we'd bring him up, and he would talk on health and safety to these large groups of oil and gas personnel. We'd have a barbecue, and we'd have a Walter Gretzky speak, and everybody loved him. But he spoke on health and safety because he was one of the first people at Ma Bell, when he was working for the phone company, to wear a hard hat. He was he stood by wearing a hard hat. It was required. Something fell on him and hit him in the head, which, this is pre-Wayne, which could have changed the outcome and the trajectory of Wayne Gretzky, or even the
Yeah.
existence of Wayne Gretzky, right?
Right.
So, and he talked about that, and then he would talk about these stories, about Wayne as a kid and some of the things. But talk about, you mentioned earlier that Wayne was inclusive in anything, and he, I believe, got that from his dad. Walter Gretzky is an ambassador of the game. This guy was so inclusive. I picked him up at the airport one time at the Edmonton International Airport. We couldn't get out of there for 2.5 hours. People are coming up to him. He's got this little like almost a postcard of him wearing the Roots jackets from the Canada Cup, and he's handing them out to everybody. He would not leave until everybody was satisfied, and then more people would come. We go to the Keg to eat. 2 hours just in autographs at the Keg. So inclusive. It was such a kind man. So he gets that honestly. I do want to ask you real quick, jumping back. You played and won a silver medal in '85 with at the World Ice Hockey Championship, which we don't talk enough about that event. Can you talk a little bit about that and your recollection of that, and who played and who was in, give us a little bit of a rundown on that, and who'd you lose to?
We lost to Russia, actually. That was, I think I was fortunate. That was Mario Lemieux's first year. And Mario Camora, I got to play with Mario that
Lucky
year.
you.
I
How
was
cool
rooming
is that?
Yes.
yeah. So it was awesome. And, Stevie Eisman, I roomed with Stevie. I don't remember a whole lot. It was a lot of fun. Rick Vibe was there. God, I can't remember who all was there, but
Who played net for you guys? Who was in goal for you? You remember?
I
84.
yeah,
It's I was trying to find some YouTube on it. I couldn't find it, but
yeah. But it was so cool. We're in Prague.
beautiful city.
Just the whole experience was a lot of fun, right? Representing your country. Like I said, Mario was really, really a lot of fun. Stevie Eisenman, two unbelievable hockey players. That was a highlight for sure.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what? The World Championships at that time too. There's a lot of players had never ever came across the pond to play in the National Hockey League. Great hockey players playing in their countries for their country. Their year, that was their Stanley Cup for us, right? Growing up, to play in the World Championships. Some players are still playing in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The losing teams, those great players would make up of the American team and the Canadian team. Was that unbelievable hockey, Bernie, playing on the bigger ice? And was it different back then, or would you say it's very similar to today?
No, it was definitely different. And the big ice surface, right? You're not used to that. So going over there, playing in these small arenas, and then you have a chance to play in the big one, it's definitely different for the Canadian guys not being used to it, but more room. It helps a skilled player. Like we all enjoy that, a little bit more room to work. So, but definitely different. But what a great experience at a young age.
Is that the first time you
Absolutely.
represented the country?
It was. Yep. First time, 84.
You still have the jacket? Do you still
I
have
don't
that
know.
stuff or any memorabilia
Yeah.
from that event?
I don't think I do. Or the medal too. I remember the medal. I have no idea where it would be, but I remember I brought it back and gave it to my mom and dad though. So that was it was a lot of fun and a great experience.
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to say I had one chance playing the World Championships for Canada in '96, so a decade later.
Nice.
And in
Yeah.
'96, we were in Vienna, Austria. We lost in the gold medal game. We ended up winning a silver, but we lost in the gold medal game to the
Same thing.
Czech Republic. That's before Slovakia and Czechoslovakia.
Right.
Right. I think it was around 96, 97 that they separated and became two separate countries. But we actually started in Bujovica, Czech Republic, and we had a couple exhibition games against them. Well, we ended up facing them in the gold medal game, and they scored with 17 seconds to go. A guy named Yuri Patera scored. But players on our team were Paul Correa, came from the Anaheim Ducks, but Stevie Thomas was a hell of a player at the time.
Yeah.
Luke Richardson was there, Kelly Buckberger from Edmonton. But our goaltenders, I mean, I'm gonna forget or miss a number of these players, but our goalies, unreal. We had Curtis Joseph and Martin Brodeur. And who do you think was the number one goalie?
Well, I know who would have been today, but probably Curtis.
Curtis basically carried the mail, and Marty played a few games, but Curtis was our guy. And there's another guy, we're talking about Hall of Fame and numbers and just what he did throughout his career. Very worthy. Unfortunately, it's such a tough kind of like discussion to have, right? When it gets really personal but Curtis Joseph, what a career he had. But it very cool. So I remember how proud I was when I met the team after the end of the season and they gave us the gear. I've never been so happy to get something free before. And you got the free Canada jacket, and so proud to don it and wear it throughout the city of the tournament was in Vienna, Austria. It was quite an experience.
And that's the thing, right? All you wear is like the track suits and stuff every day. I think I took like 8 suits with me, not knowing, and never wore one of them. You just wear your track suit, the free stuff all the time.
It was so cool. And so Prague, I've never been to Prague. What was the city like over there and the way they celebrate the game back in '85?
Yeah, it was really interesting. Like, it was cold. I remember that, but they loved their hockey over there too, right? Like it was huge for them. They supported real well. For us, the food and stuff, I don't know what it was like for you, but we had to have our own food and stuff. That was a little tough, right? Getting used to that. But they love their hockey over there, like as well as we do probably here.
Yeah, and they're very good at it. You know, it's funny.
Yeah.
A lot of the rinks in Europe, even back when I played, there would be some car or vehicle that they were like as a sponsor took up like 20% of the seats in a section always, and then everybody sings, and it's like, what's going on?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's like a soccer match over there.
Exactly. Right on.
So Bernie, you're retired from the NHL. what did you get into right away? And what was that like? What was the transition? That's one thing we never, and I don't hear often enough. The challenge of the game that you love, your first love, at some point in time, not that it doesn't love you anymore, but now you're not playing it. Was it difficult? Who's Bernie Nicholls after the game?
You know what? I think because of what we actually just talked about, was easy for me. Hunting season is from September till Christmas, more or less, right? And for me, and you have to do something, right? When you retire, you got to have something to do. I still did a lot of charity hockey games and still do it to this day, and still love doing it. Like, I love playing hockey to this day, going out, either an old timer game, a charity game for anything. I do Mario's Fantasy Camp and absolutely love it. But I think you have to do something, right? And to me, my passion was hunting. And I told people they could offer me a job in the NHL as a coach, 400,000 or 500,000 a year. I'm not going. I'm staying home. I'm hunting with my dad until hunting season's over, and then I'll go. And that's exactly what happened when I did go coach with Daryl Sutter with the Kings in 12 when they won the cup. I was hunting, and they made the trade, or they fired the coach and hired Daryl. And I called Daryl and asked him if I could come and help him. And he said, absolutely. And that was right after. So I went January 3rd because he took over at Christmas time. The next year was the lockout year. So they didn't report till the new year. So I got to hunt, and then I was done. It's weird, but I think when you're just so passionate about something like that and something you can do with your family, it's so hard to give that away. And as you know, since I was 18 years old, or I left home at 16, and then to play that whole time, you lose so much with your family. And like I said, with my dad hunting, he introduced me to that, and that's something that I've always done. I trapped with my dad. When I retired, I'd come home because he trapped his whole life. And that's how we got probably every Christmas we had. Everything we got was from my dad trapping, fur. And I did that with him. And I did that until he no longer could do it. And when he was done, I was done. It was just something that I did with my dad, and the same with hunting. And so hunting would probably, and golf, I golf all the time in the summertime. So golfing and hunting has taken care of not wanting to play in the NHL anymore, I guess.
So just enlighten me on the hunting again. I've never done it. I've shot guns before, like at a couple ranges. Fortunate or really cool. I went to the Secret Service shooting range in Washington, D.C. with a guy from Buffalo, who we're very friendly with, Chip Sheehan. He took us to the White House a number of times, our team, and he would take a few of us to the shooting range. And he used to train all the Secret Service drivers' cars. So we'd go out in like these Camaros, and we'd go through the courses and stuff the night before a game against the Capitals. It was really cool. But I'm not a hunter. I understand it. I'd love to go hunting, but never carry a gun, if that makes sense for me.
No, for sure.
I understand it, but enlighten whoever's watching our show or our podcast here. When you trap and when you hunt, there's a utility to all of it. And there's a purpose for it. And there's certainly, when you get tags for moose or deer, there's actually a real, an element that you're actually a conservation element to hunting. It's actually good for, wildlife. Some people don't understand that. And maybe you can teach me.
Well, and I think, a lot of people don't want to they'll eat it. It's like you go to your butcher and you get a chicken or you get a steak. You don't want to know where that or how that steak got to that part. Someone had to kill it, clean it, and that's part of the deal. And for me, I never kill anything I don't eat. I never kill something for sport. Like, people have asked me, would you like to go to Africa? I'd love to go to Africa, but just to look. I wouldn't want to shoot an elephant. I wouldn't want to shoot a big cat. I wouldn't want to shoot something like that. I'm not eating it, right? Like, I don't go shoot something. I don't shoot does, females, and their babies, fawns, which you can, like in the fall, you got a tag, you can shoot. If you got a doe tag, you can shoot a doe or a fawn. I don't. That's just me. Other people do, and that's fine. Um, I don't use a gun anymore because I started bow hunting. A lot of people do, and that's fine too. A gun, you can shoot a gun from me to you and shoot something, like 2, 3, 400 yards. A bow, you got to get up close and personal. There's a lot of knack to it, especially when you're hunting a deer. They can see you. When you go to pull on it, they can see you. So there's a lot to that. But I think the main thing is, which, like I say, a lot of people just don't get it, maybe because they don't want to. They don't understand the killing part. And like I said, there's nothing that I've ever killed that I don't eat. I don't do it just for the sport, just to shoot something. I eat it all. We've always done that. And I think a lot of people respect that part. But like I said, it's like when we go on a golf trip or something with your buddies, or a hockey event, going hunting. My dad had a camp here since 1961. My mom and sister cooked. My dad and my 2 brothers guided. So when I come back, I'd go to the camp for the 2 weeks of deer, the 1 week of moose, and it's the family. They're there every day. It's time spent with family. And like I said, when I'd go on a moose hunting trip, I would always take my dad. Even when it got later that he didn't hunt, I still took him with me. So it's just time with family. It's just it's so much fun to go. And like you said about being up, I've been to Alaska, moose hunting up there, and you get up in the mountains there. Like the scenery's spectacular. Like it's so calm and peaceful, and or you get to where it's bad weather, and you hunt through that, right? The adversity of that. There's a lot to it, but to experience, I think a lot of people would really enjoy it.
Question for you. A lot of people don't like to spend time with themselves. It's right. It's a real thing to be a hunter, to go out and sit in a tree stand. I may get this wrong. I don't know all the lingo, but you have to like yourself. So the question is, what, if anything, and I'm sure there's been many lessons, have you learned about yourself by yourself when you're in the elements?
Yeah, I think, you know what, and I've always been an athlete, like the endurance part for me. I always thought that was one of my best qualities as a hockey player, the endurance. I could go all day. And so a lot of times when you're hunting, if you're bow hunting, you're either in a tree stand. Sometimes you go in the morning just before it gets dark or before it gets light. So you're in your tree stand at like 6:30. Doesn't get light till to 7, and then you go back at night. So you spend a lot of time by yourself, but it's pretty cool. The scenery there is pretty cool, and just watching everything wake up, it's pretty cool too. But we talked about the endurance part. I was hunting a deer one time, and the thing is too, right, with animals, or especially deer, I'll pick a deer and I'll hunt the same deer, and I may hunt the same deer for 4 or 5 years. And the deer I shot this year, I hunted it for 5 years. I got pictures of it in like 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. And I finally got it in 26, and I've hunted that thing for like straight years and turned down other deer because I'm hunting this one deer, right? And but I hunted a deer one time. It was minus 25, and I was in a blind at before it got light in the morning till 11, like till 10 o'clock. Went home, went back from like 3 o'clock till dark, sitting in minus 25 for 5 straight days to try to shoot this deer, and never got him. But you talk about endurance, you talk about, the will to compete, the drive it takes to be successful in anything you do. I sat in a deer stand, and not many people would do that. And for for you, like taking you out for your first time to try to experience it, I wouldn't do that.
Right.
Just be a little more fun. But I can do that. I can sit there and, it's the determination you have to do something to be successful, as most athletes will have that. That's a quality of mind that I think I've always had.
So you'd have to be awfully patient, clearly,
Very
awfully
patient.
patient. And
Yeah.
And to sit there and wait, like I just forgot what I was talking about. I have the attention span of a gnat. To actually go,
But
to go out,
you know,
and,
the tenacity of the hunter, you compare it to like a military Navy SEAL, right? I mean, there's courage. You have to do certain things. It's hard work. It's not easy. You just don't go out and shoot something. There's a plan and a process and a system. And the fact that you've gone into the bow hunting, which is even brings it down to really, it's
primal.
it goes almost medieval, right? I mean, because that is the tools that they used back then. Growing up in northern Canada, it was very, very common. Things that people would do. Their families would go out. It was part of their family culture. It was part of who they were, and whether they're Indigenous or just moved up north, and it was part of the thing. I really got into the fishing side of things, ice fishing and all that. It's fantastic to engage in that kind of system. Like I never grew up doing that. Like, I mean, as a child, my father didn't hunt. He'd hunt mushrooms as an Italian. I mean, not exciting, but it's you know what I mean? So I'm like, hunting mushrooms. What the hell am I doing here? Don't want to do this. I also made wine every edit. I was at an event many years ago where we're sitting at this big table with some charity event, and people were kind of mingling. Who are you? What do you do? This is my wife. She's a doctor. What do you do? And I said, I'm, I'll say environmental professional and in mining and oil and gas. And, this collective sigh came from this, this person. Oh, well, it's so horrible for the environment. And I'm like, well, there's many things that we do to protect the environment in order to get permits to do the work and, and get the resources out of the ground that we need. And there was a little more comment back and forth. My wife is kicking me under the table a little bit, and I'm trying to educate. And I said, well, listen, I see the cell phone that you have and the keys of that beautiful Mercedes, I'm assuming is in the driveway or in the parking lot. That's all mined. Everything comes out of petroleum. Everything you have in that phone is mined, right? It's just like, you don't get it. You don't get it. It's we can all say that, one of the things we do want to add, like I've got a bunch of quick questions we call the overtime questions. And I want to just blast those off for you real quick. So if you can indulge us, give us your fondest memory of playing in the NHL. Quick couple of blurbs.
Probably just playing as a small kid in Canada, the opportunity to play in the NHL and you get there and you get to play. It's amazing.
Mic drop. Yeah, right there. All you have to say, goosebumps again. All right, perfect. Tell us about one of the best team pranks you ever saw or were involved in.
I actually did it. I was in Victoria, BC. It's training camp. It's 12:30 in the morning. I got two young French kids in the room beside me. So I'm going to jump over the balcony, sneak in the room and scare these two kids. Jump over. I hands and knees. I'm crawling in there. I got a freaking beard. It's training camp, my hair and perm or whatever. Walk over, there's no one in this bed. And I go, oh, so I keep going and there's two people in this bed and there's two French kids. And I'm thinking, what the hell? I stand up and I start screaming. Two elderly ladies sit up in their bed, start screaming. And I go, fuck. Out the door I go, out the window, jump over. These two kids got cut that day at training camp. They sold the room to two elderly ladies. True story. They could have died. Like, it was unbelievable.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So, if you did that in the US, most likely somebody's armed in that room and they're coming out shooting, buddy.
No kidding. Yeah. Like,
oh my God. All right. Give us, what city did you like playing in when you played in the NHL and why?
Chicago and the old stadium. I don't know, Brad, if you got to play in the old stadium or not.
I did, and I loved it.
Did you?
Loved it.
Oh, my favorite rink of all times, 22,000 people. You have to climb up like 15 flights of stairs
to get out.
Yeah, and there's just a little ledge, and the arena, they're all right on top of you. You get the old organ going. Like, it is so loud. We talked about, I play with the Oilers. We played Chicago in the playoffs and semifinals. I'm starting the game. I got my head down, and if you've ever been to a game in Chicago, you don't hear the person singing the anthem because the organ's loud and the people are screaming. I start laughing on the ice. I got my head down. It's so loud. It is the coolest thing ever, and the old stadium was unbelievable.
I was in the starting lineup. Buffalo Sabres. We only played there one. I played there a couple times.
Yeah.
Actually, more than a couple times. But one game, I actually have a 2-goal game in Chicago Stadium, which is actually kind of cool because I didn't have many of them. But 2 goals. But I remember being in the starting lineup, standing on the blue line. Donald Audette is beside me. And I tried to say, hey, isn't this cool? I couldn't even hear my own voice.
Exactly.
I couldn't hear myself. It was so loud.
Ever. Yeah.
The best.
So cool.
The best.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Hey, I'm throwing there. What does legacy mean to you, Bernie? And do you think about it much?
Yeah, I don't really think about it. I think if you always want to be a good teammate. I don't. I want people to think that about me, I guess, that you played the game the right way. You were an honest player. You worked hard. You did everything you can to be successful, to help your team. You were a great teammate. I think that's all that I think about, right? That's all you want, Jonas.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Rock.
So if somebody was to entice you to get out to an event, like what type of events do you go to? Like when you do these alumni hockey games or charity events. So and you mentioned the Mario Lemieux kind of fantasy camp. Give us a little bit of background on what that looks like for the lay grocery stick like myself. What does that look like?
You know what? I did Gretz's for years and Mario's and what I tell, and they're expensive, right? For the camper guys. But what I tell people is if you're, I can use Wayne Gretzky. If you're an avid Wayne Gretzky fan, a Mario Lemieux fan, to go to their fantasy camp to pay, because like I said, it's a lot of money. A lot of these people have a lot of money, so it's no big deal. But to have the opportunity to play with Gretzky, to play with Lemieux. And the thing is with these events, there's always 2 pros on each team. But Mario and Gretz, they would play. So you're going to play with Mario. So one day he'll play in your team, the next day with Brad, and the next day with mine. So you're playing with him, and then he'll go through the lines. So he'll play center. So you'll get pretty much with everybody, right? Chances are good if you get a goal and he sets it up. You get the puck when you score anyways, but if it comes from Mario or it comes from Gretz, it's unbelievable. They have parties every night, dinners and stuff, and you're out with them. You got them in the locker room. In Pittsburgh, you play at their big arena, so you're in the locker rooms and stuff. It's it's a time that, as a Canadian boy, or if you're just a fan of those guys, it's a lot of fun, and we have fun too, right? We're playing with these guys, and they're competitive and they want to win, and it's a lot of fun that way too. But like I said, for someone to go and have an opportunity to play with their idol, it's really pretty cool for them.
It's off the chart, and I've done some of these alumni events where it's like the Joes versus the pros, and 99.9999% of the guys want to hear the stories, right?
Yeah.
The hot stove conversations and stuff that we're talking about here. This is the great stuff. It's like you're almost part of history, because it's history that we've lived, and now we hear about some of the inside stuff. So it's like this insider. So I love that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of the Legends Tour things that we'll do too. They will have a hot stove, and that's what I mentioned with Brad. Or when we play in that tour, right? I remember playing a celebrity tour a long time ago with Michael Jordan, John Elway, a lot of these guys. You prayed for a rain delay, because you get all these guys in a room and they're telling stories. Yeah. And it's you're just on the edge of your seat, listening to Michael Jordan stories, Dan Marino, or, John Elway. And, some of these guys, it's like, oh my God, like you just love hearing stories. And the same with us. We get in the locker room, and that's the part that we as players miss maybe the most is the camaraderie, your teammates, being in the locker room, being on the road with your teammates, having stories, like just, and you just love listening to them, whether you play with them or not. It's like, it's such a brotherhood, right? Like I never played with Brad. He's probably one of my best friends now. I could play a game with a guy that I just hated when I played against him, maybe even fought him. You get to him now and you love him because he's one of your own, right? Like it's like the bond that you have with other athletes, or especially hockey players. It's the best.
It's
Rocco,
crazy,
it's
right?
really cool. We get to Bernie and I have played in this new tour, this new golf tour called The Pro. By the way, it's incredible. One of the greatest things I think that I've been actually asked or been able to perform in and play, and playing with, like, my last round of golf at The Pro, I played with J.R. Smith, who was an NBA player who went to Duke or North Carolina to get on a golf scholarship to try to become a golfer after his playing career. Vince Carter, Air Canada Carter, Vince Carter from the, of course,
Gotta love that.
Yeah, speaks for itself, right? We all know who Vince Carter is. Really cool. And I played with Phil Nevin. That was my foursome. Phil Nevin's a great baseball player. But Tony Romo is there. Matt Ryan's there. We've got
Tony
Jordan Bettis. We had so much fun. Like we've played in a few, and we're going to be playing one soon.
Yeah,
Bernie, you're a hell of a golfer. You learn the game. Obviously, you're an athlete, and you up in West Guilford. There's not a lot of I say great golf courses, no disrespect, just because it's cottage country and in the north. But there's a family. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring them up. Two guys that I actually see on a daily basis in the summer because they're both in the golf industry at a golf course, my golf club here in Ontario. Jack and Leo, and their father, I understand is a teacher and teaches you. What do you say about them and the passion they helped instill with you and help you with your golf game? Because whoever's been helping you, Bernie, they're doing a great job.
Well, you know what? Thank you, Brad. I text Gary to this day. I might even text him tonight if I'm swinging and ask him a question, right? And you're right. Like we don't have many nice golf courses up here, and not because you're there. My favorite one probably here, Muskoka Bay and your course. And I get down there quite a bit, especially playing with the two boys. They owned a driving range here in Carnarvon, like 10 minutes from home. So I'd go down there and I met them and started playing, and now become really good friends. I actually went out a couple weeks ago and skated. They play every Friday, Gary and the two boys, every Friday. So I went and played with them, hockey, but a lot of fun. And Gary will go out of his way. I'll text him or I will go down and get in the simulator there, and he'll help me out and give me some pointers or tell me what I'm not doing and tell me what I got to do. So I can look at golf videos or try to get, better all the time. It's like the athlete in you, right? Like you gotta put the time in. I can't do something half-ass. And if I'm not good, I ain't going to do it. Right. Like I don't want to not be good at something. So I practice at it, and to get good at something, you just got to practice. And I enjoy doing that. Right. And it's frustrating. It's like anything. It's like if you're not doing something well, I get frustrated, and I can do stupid things because I'm frustrated, right? And pisses some people off because you throw a little tantrum like a little baby, but I'm not going to not be good at what I'm doing.
Rocco, these two guys, young men that I'm talking about, Jack and Leo, incredible guys. Jack's a hell of a player, but Leo, I was in this golf simulator with Leo last month, and he's pounding the ball. He's going to beat his big brother one day. And
oh yeah.
And he doesn't think so because Jack's really, really good. But but between the two of them, I know they'll be watching this podcast. I just want to give a little shout out to the brothers.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
They're awesome. Great guys.
As the best thing I do in golf is I'm a good cart guy.
Yeah.
I drive the cart and hand out the beers. That's it. That's all I got. I got nothing else. But I love hearing the stories and you see the people who grow up, where I grew up, we didn't have, we had a golf course, but it was all sand greens, everything, oiled
Gotcha.
sand greens. And you're out in the tundra, you have to bring your own mat
Yes.
with you. And between getting eaten by black flies and mosquitoes for the period, a period of time, they'd even have, you wouldn't lose a stroke if a raven would come down and take your golf ball and fly off, right?
Wow.
So yeah, totally different experience. So good to see you guys have some, ability to get out there and golf around. But that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, guys, for the sake of time, I just want to say thank you, Bernie, for coming on, being a part of this, and I'm really grateful for our friendship too.
Thank you, Brad.
And I heard you say that just 20 minutes ago. I echo that feeling. You're fantastic, and I can't wait to spend more time with you. I'll see you on the golf course next week or 2 weeks or whatever it's going to be. But
You bet.
Can't wait to see you.
Well, I
Bernie,
appreciate you guys. It was awesome. Anytime. Love you guys to death, Brad. You know that. This was fun.
Yeah, Bernie,
Thank you.
I was told by Maisie that how amazing you were and how you are and how engaging you are. And he is true to the word. Like, you're just like, I feel like I've known you all my life, even though I spent time watching you play. You come across that, and we love you. And thank you very much for coming on our
Thank you.
pod. We hope to have you back and get you out here for a little game and some golf. Hi, everybody. It's Rocco from Overtime with Mayday Hockey Podcast. You know me as the grocery stick that hangs out with Brad May and all these great NHL hockey players and alumni. I want you to subscribe. If you like our podcast, heck, even if you don't like our podcast, please subscribe, tune in, tell your friends. Thank you very much.